You are welcome to the Benin Empire Advancement League, the home of all the Benins. Today, just a short one, because of the news that is going around, that has been going around for very long time. Um, as you all know, there has been this issue of human sacrifice in the Benin Empire, uh, which was invented by the British. As you all know, before the British came to this part of the world, or to the part of the world known as the Benin Empire, we have been having contact with other countries like Portugal and others. We have been doing business and everything was all right. There was nothing like human sacrifice or something like that till the British came to this part of the world uh, of the Benin Empire. We all know today that the Benin Empire was invaded because of wickedness, because of palm oil from the Benin Empire, palm oil that was used to engine the economic of the British Empire. And, without the palm oil from the Benin Empire, the British economy would be grounded. That's why the British has to find a way to invade the Benin Empire with some, I would say, invented lies. You know, if we are saying this, people doesn't believe it till they see this with their eyes, and they will now understand why the Benin Empire knew nothing about human sacrifice before the British came, and before the British invaded the Benin Empire, the so-called punitive expedition. We all know today why Benin Empire was invaded, and among these products, what the palm oil was used for is like the soap. I don't know if you people know this sunrise soap that are still being used in Benin Empire today or in the whole part of Africa today. We can see that our palm oil was one of the ingredients or one of the form that was used for those soaps. And not just only that, to engine their economy, all the machines that we are using that period was being powered by our palm oil because they saw this, we were already using this for our street lights when they came, when the Portuguese came and all that, you know. When people are saying Benin was actively involved in human sacrifice, we know today, according to our own investigation, and according to our own knowledge, we know today that all these are fabricated. But if we, the Benin, are saying this, people doesn't really believe this. I would like you people to hear from somebody who knows something uh, who can say something about this. And this is from the Open University from the British Empire. And they are going to be saying something about how the whole issue of human sacrifice came and see why we, the people of the Benin Empire, why we must stand firm about correct all these histories, all this narrative that is being that have been circulating. I'm trying to find all this how it started, the whole issue. Actually, the whole issue started from England, started from the British Empire, because after the invasion of the Benin Empire, they have to find a story or something to justify the invasion of the Benin Empire. And doing that, we know how the British use their press. So look at it. This is the famous for it human sacrifice. Let us see if I can play this.
King of Benin, this tyrant, would not allow his own conquerors to sell dumb and collect proper, yet he turned back British subjects who endeavored to open outside commerce was lost. So you've got, on the one hand, the wickedness of the people of Benin, particularly the Oba, and on the other hand, what was regarded as the civilized mission, bringing trade to, to Benin, and how detrimental it is that the Oba won't allow this trade to go ahead. And it's this double-sided thing. I mean, really, it's all about palm oil. You know, it's another war over oil. We're familiar with them. Different sorts of oil a century ago, but even so, there we go. And similarly, when the punitive expedition reached Benin, I think there's an extract from one of the sources in the documents that you've got. And this one is the Sheffield Independent, Wednesday the 24th of February 1897, so again, very soon after the incident, in a week or so of the incident. This one talks about the King of Benin has at last been sharply made to understand that he cannot treat peaceful white men as he treats his wretched subjects, and his capital is now in British hands. And it goes on about how the British have used the smartest tactics and the most sterling pluck. And it stirs the heart of the British. The work has been quickly and well done. And I love this this phrase. Well, I don't love it. It's horrific. This writer says, "The King of Benin, by all accounts, is the greatest scoundrel unhung." So that really gives you a flavour of what they were thinking about with all of that. I think during the actual attack on Benin, they set fire, the British set fire to quite a small number of houses, then the fire simply got out of control. And before then, there'd been great earthworks, big walls around the city, which were said to be on the same scale as the Great.
Yeah, let me come in again. As you all know, the Benin Empire was not in one way or the other involved in any slave trade. At the same time, not also in human sacrifice. After the invasion, we know already what happened because now they have to justify why the Benin Empire was invaded. And by doing that, we have to find something. I don't know if any of you remember the issue of Iraq, why the British administration under Tony Blair and George Bush said that the Iraq people has a mass destruction weapon. And till today, we can't find that. Exactly the same system, the same pattern of campaign they did against the Benin to justify the massacre, the enslavement of the Benin people. They have to find a way. They have to find a way to sell it to the people, to make it easier, so that they can continue with their atrocities. They committed against the Benin. And we know today that the Benin people, this picture you saw here, you saw in one of these, let me say, in this podcast, and you can understand why we are saying this because this picture they show you actually yes there was people hanged around the street in the Benin City, but these were criminals, convicted criminals that were sentenced to death, that were sentenced to death, and because of their wrongdoing, because of the atrocity they committed, they were sentenced to death. And when the British came, they took this picture or a sketch. It was not even a picture, it was just a sketch. After this sketch, they went back to Britain And they start telling people, look at this picture. This is the picture, photographs of how the Benin was involved in human sacrifice. But we know today that they did exactly the same thing to our chiefs. Our chief that was captured was also executed publicly, and also hung in the same form in the street. Was also hung in the same form in the street, and at the same time, they had more than 2 weeks in this street, and their puzzles was used as a practice, gunshot, and all other things to demonstrate to the Benin people this is what is going to happen to you if you dare challenge us again. And a warning for all these our chiefs, telling them this is what is going to happen to you if you challenge anything about the invasion. So let me see if I can find a way of showing this picture or this photograph or this sketch to you people.
Portrayed Benin and its people, Benin, as barbaric, which led to great puzzlement among academics when their artworks arrived in England. How could such sophisticated art have been produced by such barbarous people, they wondered. One of the things British journalists and writers focused on was the practice of human sacrifice in Benin.
There was human sacrifice. An anthropologist writing in the 1950s, Henri Bradbury, who wrote an excellent book on Benin, maintains that human sacrifice was part of the traditional religion. But what happened was that the 12 worst criminals who were due for execution were chosen. They were executed, and then their bodies were displayed on the crucifixion trees. They were not. Crucifixion was not the method of execution. So it was probably public execution, but then display of bodies afterwards. And we might feel absolutely appalled by this, and quite right too. But there'd been public execution in Britain until 1868, went on in the United States until 1936, and in France using the guillotine until 1939.
The Benin bronzes are now displayed in the British Museum and other museums in Britain and Europe, including France and Germany. They were first.
Yeah. Let me come back. Oh, sorry. It's like, yeah. Okay. As you all know, it's disgusting to see how people talk about the Benin Empire without even knowing the history of the Benin Empire. And then we can see the psychological effect these are having on our people, on our history, because people will just stand up, people like the British people, the French, the Germans, and all that, the Americans can say Benin was involved in this and that, without even knowing anything about the Benin Empire. And we can see the effect that is having on the return of the artifact. And we understand today that all this issue of sacrifice and this and that was fabricated by the British to justify their atrocities committed against our people, against our forefathers, against our ancestors, against our women who were raped during this period. And most of the prisoners that was taken away didn't return back. Nobody know their whereabouts to date. What really happened to them. Benin was set ablaze. Benin was burned to the ground. And thanks to our ancestors who didn't give up, who rebuilt Benin City, who rebuilt the palace, that we can still call ourselves today the Beninese, because anything I do today, I always give thanks to our ancestors, because they paid a heavy price defending the Benin Empire. And we should also thank them, because when I hear today, people are saying, oh, our forefathers, they were serving idols, this and that, I used to shake my head, because what we also serve in the church or in the mosque are also idols, because it's only the definition that is really different. And I will understand if everybody uh, would say paid a respect to our forefather, because they went through a lot of things we will not understand, because we cry today we are suffering, but what they went through after the invasion wasn't easy for them. If we were not seized today, we would have not be here, talking about all we are talking about today. We understand, and everybody should understand what really went on. In some cases, what is really happening in the social media is when people are reposting the post of other people, they don't read it carefully. They don't read it carefully to really understand what they are posting. If they are reposting with nonsense, some people wrote, some people went out there to regenerate something doesn't really matter. But the fact is, the more you circulate such lies, the more people believe on it. And that is the truth of the whole issue. You see? And this is what we as Benin, we should be doing. Because if anybody want to have likes or want to have comments and want to have traffic in his Facebook today, we just come out to write something about the Benin Empire, and we all the Benin will react. I can remember the issue of that the fridge. Everybody went out and everybody joined his page, and today is having a lot of people from Benin who like his page. And then exactly to all other pages that insulted the Benin, you can see them today. They have 6,000K, 7,000K, because our people always react to all this nonsense. And I would like to advise our people not to be reacting to such nonsense people are posting. If you look at ISA Mega Forum and the ISA Aborigine and all that, exactly the same thing, because these people are doing business with our name. And we shouldn't provide them the traffic they needed. So I would like to deliberate a little bit about this human sacrifice, because many people think we, the black people, we are the devils. If you go back to the history of the European, in the 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th, let me say in the first century, then people should understand how barbaric the world was that period. It is not fair to say the black people is barbaric, this and that. You see, when I'm talking, people doesn't really understand sometimes, because I have to reason very carefully before I say something that not to embarrass some people, because I need to do that sometimes also to wake our people up, to allow them to understand what is going on. See, in Europe, there were human sacrifice. People were executed. If you have a blue eye, you were executed. If you have a red hair, you were executed. If you have mental illness, you were executed. Till even after the Second World War in Europe, 1945, 1946, 1947, people were still executed in most parts of Europe. Until today, people are still being executed in the United States, in Saudi Arabia, in China, and so many places in the world. But nobody condemns them. But when it happened, what happened in 18 something, in Benin Empire, people will start condemning it, doing all this sort of that. But what we should understand, if you also go into the Bible, if you go into the Quran, then you will understand that these are not also peaceful. These are not also something people should be proud of. People, they were execution. You know? The Christianity, for example, supported a lot of atrocities against the black people. You know? Likewise, the Muslim. You know, the first set of slave dealers in Africa was from the Arab world, you know, before the coming of the white people. You know. Although people are saying that before this coming of these people, they were slaves in Africa, but that is complete lie because the slaves we were having was like a servant who will serve you and you will pay him off with reward. And most of these people who were slaves before have become kings, become in their own region, become the chiefs in their own region. And you cannot compare that with that of the slave trade people did, what the people did to Africa. Yes, there were some African people like the Akan people, the like the Izom, not Izom, the Ijaw people, and the like the Fulanis, who were fully involved in human trade. You know? But today you hardly hear anything about that. You know? But all you hear today is about the Benin human sacrifice, about this and that. We are not really interested in all this, but we know the fact. We have to start presenting our parts, you know, and that is very, very important. So thank you for watching and thank you for listening to me. There's a chat here. Let me see. Okay. Yes. There's a statement here which I like to throw from one of our viewers. Yes, this happened. We know exactly what happened then. We know that the people that were used to invade the Benin Empire, the first set of people that came, they were about 500 uh, African soldiers. You know, they were from our neighbors. They were from Izon, Ijaw, all these the Fulanis and other Yorubas who could join the British. But the first set of people who came, they were defeated. They ran away. And two of these white people were able to escape. Who brought the reports to England? This is what happened. Before the reinforcement with their most modern weapon, uh, they came and they invaded our own empire. You know, uh, and when they did that, the British government was pretending they didn't know what happened. But to sacrifice their people, to satisfy their people, sorry, they have to use the press. They use the press to make their people understand. This is why we did what we did. But all this, the press was writing and putting on their daily newspaper was completely wrong, was completely fake about the Benin Empire. Because how could somebody who said is bringing civilization to you destroy you before giving you civilization? How would somebody who said you didn't sign a treaty with him will now conquer you, destroy you, so that you can sign a trade treaty with him? So it's not reasonable when we look at all these lies today, the lies they all put on. So I'm not worried about that because we know the truth. But I'm worried about the future why our people are not coming out to be talking about all these things because we need to be talking about it. The world need to know our own side of the story, our own side of the history, not the one being told by the British or by the French or by the Germans or by the Americans or by our neighbors. We need to tell our own side of the story, and this is very, very important for our generations and the generations to come. So thank you for joining me, and I appreciate everyone that contributes his part to this broadcast. And thank you. I'll be coming back very soon. So thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.